Sean has a question, which is, I know you've read a lot and think a lot about being effective and even what the movement needs. What do you think our movement needs most to get more traction in the next decade? Take out your
Uh,
crystal ball.
yeah, I think we need to shift culture and we need more activists. So, you know, we already know something like 1 to 3% of the population is vegan, right? So we have the whole population, small fraction is vegan. And then an even smaller fraction, I don't know what the number is, are vegan activists. If every vegan was a vegan activist, we would be accelerate to a vegan world pretty quickly, I assume. Um, and so I think that's a really big thing, is getting active in some way. And activism can look very different. So I think, we've been talking this whole time about street outreach, but that's not the only kind of activism. That's just a very visible kind. There's pressure campaigns. There's things like fur protests. There's all sorts of things behind the scene that you can do. Like I was saying earlier, we tend to think of like you being the person out there holding a sign at a protest somewhere or talking one-on-one with someone. But you can be the camera person. You can be the person editing those videos. You can be the person flagging down someone to come and have the conversation, while the person who's filming is like making sure they've got all their arguments and whatever down. And this is something I've done recently, actually, is I've brought people with me to do outreach, and they help take care of some of those more logistical concerns, so I can focus more on like having the conversation. And or yeah, like maybe you can design a website or help people do marketing. Like I said, like all those different things that are involved in YouTube, each of those could be a separate person, if you had that many friends. But you can get people to help on all those back end things. They don't have to be like out in the open talking. And so I think there's there's probably a ton of human ingenuity and innovation uh, to bring to bear there if every vegan got active in some way. There's other ways too. I mean, there's sidewalk chalk activism. I often tell this story that the very first thing that ever got me thinking about veganism was, I forget what city I was walking in. I was just walking down the street and there was chalk and it said, "Pigs are about as smart as a 3-year-old child." And I remember I stopped eating pig for like, I don't know, maybe like 3 months or something like that. No,
Mm.
maybe a month, maybe 2 months, maybe 3 months. I did not eat pig body parts at that point. Um, I, of course, went back to my habit. I didn't really have any like outside pressure, but that's always been rattling around in my head since then. And I think that clearly in some way influenced when I did finally go vegan, right? Because it made me more open to like even probably watching vegan videos at some point.
Mm.
Or, if someone would just say something, if someone would say something wild, like, "Oh, it doesn't matter what happens to animals," I'd be like, "Well, I think it does matter what happens to animals." And they're like, "Well, are you vegan?" I'm like, "No, but I mean, I still think it's better than not being.
Yeah.
I think vegan is better than non-veganism." Like I remember asking my friends at one point, we were all just like sitting out back, this before I went vegan, and I was like, "What do you think in 100 years we're gonna like look back on and be like, wow, I can't believe we did that?" And everyone was saying different things, and I was like, I think it's gonna be pretty weird that we just like straight up killed animals to eat them. And everyone was like, "Really? Huh? I don't think so. I don't think anyone will think that's weird." And it was even then, right? So I'm not vegan yet, but clearly things have been rattling around in my head, right? Um, so don't sleep on sidewalk chalk activism. Another thing I really like is also like wearing t-shirts that have a message on them. Super easy, super low opportunity cost. Once you have the t-shirt, you just wear it whenever you would wear a t-shirt. I have like lifting shirts, like muscle shirts that I wear to the gym that have vegan messages on them. And so now it doesn't cost me any like extra time to do that. I just put on the shirt that I wear to the gym every time, and it just happens now to be a shirt with a vegan message.
Mm.
And I get positive, like it's fairly common that someone's like, "Oh, I like your shirt," or "That's a cool shirt." And sometimes they'll be like, "I'm vegan." um, so like there's all kinds of ways to get active. Stickering activism, writing Watch Dominion on things, putting Watch Dominion on little cards, and I don't know, leaving it in bathroom stalls or leaving it in public places or putting it under the windshield wiper of someone's car, whatever. There's all sorts of little ways to get active. So don't sleep on any of those. I think obviously if the only thing you're ever doing is, putting maybe putting like little cards under people's windshield wipers, I think that's great. But I think that is kind of like a stepping stone. You want to kind of use these little forays into activism, where you're getting your feet wet to sort of build up to maybe more substantial forms of activism. So I think getting more activists, people understanding that a lot of things that they maybe don't consider are activism are in fact activism, kind of like lowering those barriers and just getting people to start doing activism and then kind of build that habit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it builds momentum. It absolutely does. It makes you want to do more once you, again, just getting started, just getting active. And you're right, we don't want to trivialize or downplay any form of activism. Certainly, it really all counts. We never know, we don't always know what impact we make. That person who chalked that message, they were gone. They never knew that you looked at it, that it started to plant some seeds and things weren't sitting well for you and it started to change your mind. And here you are paying it forward, you know, for other people as well. So we challenge activists out there, do what you're doing, keep doing it, but do a little bit more, challenge yourself to do a little bit more, to try something new and different, or to do something daily. Like set the bar just at something small daily. You know, there's always something you can do.